All right, guys, welcome to the Digital Barbell Podcast. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for joining us. If this is your first time finding our podcast, we put out 2 every week. If you're into health and fitness, nutrition, training, all that kind of stuff, make sure you subscribe before you go. We've got a Q&A episode today. We're going to be talking about knee pain when you run, how to know if your workout program is working, plateaus in weight loss. We're going to be talking about why am I working out, but I don't see any muscle definition, your metabolism slowing down over 40, and then how are we going to make your shoulders pop? What exercises should we be doing? So
you sound like you're on 1.5 times speed.
I haven't had any caffeine in a while. So yeah, if you're interested in those things, make sure you stay tuned. We're recording this at the beginning of 2025. We're fired up for the new year.
Yep.
I think it's really cool. We got our first ever client in Switzerland and in Scotland this week. When we started this company in 2018, did you ever think that we would have clients all over the globe?
No.
Actually, one of our first clients was in Hong Kong.
Yeah, that was word of mouth through someone who also lived in Hong Kong.
But it's really cool to think how it's organically grown, and now like we literally have people all over the world.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
It is very cool.
And we're just a little old company over here in Texas. Today's podcast sponsor, and we're just happy for all the new people who have joined in the new year. Like, I think some people poo-poo on like, oh, here we go, new year. All these people are going to be working out and then giving up. No, we're fired up to help you, even if you're starting in the new year. Podcast sponsor is, if you're watching this on YouTube, these are my little electric hand warmers that Blakely gave me for Christmas.
So I'm the sponsor.
You're the giver of the sponsorship. These are great, man. It's cold. I'm wearing a t-shirt right now, but it's been really cold here lately. And I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast, but since about 2016 or 2017, I have this weird skin condition in my hands where once it starts getting cold and my hands get cold, like I'm out for a couple hours and I really can't control my hands from getting cold, it sets off this reaction in my hands where
we think it's called chilblains.
Yes, I've Googled the heck out of this and asked some clients who are nurses and stuff, but basically my hands can't tolerate the cold, and once it gets triggered for that season, at night my fingers will swell up. They'll get really itchy,
red.
And so I have to. It's not comfortable. It's like when we lived in Idaho and we were going skiing. It was really, really hard because good luck going skiing and not letting your hands get cold. So I keep these in my pockets when I'm walking around. I've got them right here so I can keep my hands warm.
Have they helped this cold season?
So far, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, if I remember to bring them with me, getting in the car when it's cold can be a challenge. So anyway.
When we lived in Idaho, we were traveling a lot between Idaho and Texas back and forth. And like that driving time was always in the cold. And like it would be like loading, unloading the car, getting stuff out of our little car carrier. Yeah. And your hands would just be like so cold and you couldn't prevent it.
Yeah, I knew it was just inevitable.
Yeah, it was like triggered by that like cold that's not like frostbite, but before it gets to that point, it's like just really cold, but not dangerously cold.
And sometimes at night, if I drink a hot beverage or something, like
tea
it triggers them to swell up.
Weird.
Super weird. So if anybody else can identify with this strange condition I have, let's form a club. Send me an email. Goodness. All right, you ready to get into these questions?
All right, let's go. All right, first question. When I run, I get a pain on the outside of my knee after about 1.5 miles. Is there anything I can do to prevent it? You have had similar.
I've had something similar. Just don't run. You just bike instead. No. I mean, first disclaimer, like we're not physical therapists. We don't pretend to be on the internet, but we've helped enough people to kind of recognize some common things that come up.
And you've had similar things go on around the same distance. Like it used to be, around like a mile.
I mean, even before I was like
a mile or so, you would get something.
Yeah, I would get this actually before I even started working out. So I mean, it's not necessarily a training related thing, but anyway, I think it sounds like your IT band, which is that thick connective band tissue that runs all the way down the outside of your leg, through your knee down to the bottom of your knee. And it really just comes down to your body is not adapted to the stress of that duration of running yet. Like you can think of it as an overtraining injury, or you can think of it as an undertraining injury. Like you're doing too much, which is causing the pain, or you haven't trained enough yet to where your body can handle that stress.
Right.
So the key is really to build up to the distance that you are getting triggered at now more slowly so your body has time to adapt. So
you don't want to stop doing it completely.
So if you want to run 1.5 mile distances, maybe you have to run 1 mile in the morning and then a 1/2 mile in the afternoon. You might even be able to do 1 mile in the morning and 1 mile in the afternoon, like to actually get past the 1.5 miles, but you probably can't do it all at once right now. You can add more volume in, until you do get to the point where you can do further distances at that 1.5 miles before it triggers you.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't warm up for running. I'm definitely guilty of this too. But everybody I talk to who is a long distance runner, especially, they do a lot of warm up. And when Carlos and I did the old man pentathlon, I was shocked because I let him write our warm up program for that. And it's we're going to run a mile before we run a mile.
I was before y'all ran a mile, y'all ran a mile. And
right.
But it's true. It's like a lot of times we're just all right, we're about to go out for a run. We do a couple calf stretches, some knee raises, and then we're let's go. And if we were going to do anything else, we would do a more substantial warm up.
Yeah, the proper warm up goes a long way when it comes to running. And then don't neglect the fact that strength training makes your connective tissue stronger and more able to handle loads in running too. So if you're not doing lower body training like squats, deadlifts, lunges, those kinds of things, those should be part of your overall training, even if you just think you want to become a longer distance runner.
You just made me go back to swim team days. I totally just made me think about that. Our warm up every day getting in the pool was a 500-meter swim.
Ouch.
And that's 20 laps in a regular size pool. And that's when I was in the high school swim team, that was the big event. To have 500. To do the 500 was oh my gosh, coach signed me up for the 500.
No, you're all going to do it.
But yeah, that was just warm up. Let's warm up. Let's swim 500 meters, and then we'll get to the training.
Yeah, that sounds awful. You might have expected us to say something like you need to spend more time stretching your IT band or rolling around, torturing yourself on a foam roller. But unfortunately, those really aren't effective, lasting, things to get rid of this kind of pain. It's a training-related thing, not a tightness-related thing. You're never going to roll a knot out of your IT band or cause yourself enough pain and self-massage to make this go away.
In downtime, if that kind of stuff makes you feel better, that's okay to do it.
If you got the time, it's probably not going to fix your issue.
In downtimes, yeah. I find that those little massager things, really, if I have an issue going on, we have a fake Theragun, and it really does work well. For me, I'm if I have a little calf issue going on or something, I'll use that, and I'm oh, it feels better.
Yeah, you feel a knot or something like that. So anyway, that's my opinion on that. Go get it.
All right. Second question: what's the best way to know if your workout program is working? I like this question.
It's a pretty simple question, but I think often overlooked. Exercise is one thing. You're exercising for your heart health. It's a healthy habit to have. There's a certain number of minutes you're supposed to exercise per week. But
your watch dings and you're hey, I'm done.
But some of us want to get more out of it than just those benefits. We want to know that the program is working too.
It looks swole.
Right. Yep. So what do you think on this one?
I mean, the first thing is to understand what your goal is, so that because the main objective here is going to be to monitor what you're doing and monitor your progress in all the different ways, by how much you're lifting, if you're doing something lifting, whether it's just dumbbell presses, barbell presses, cleans, whatever it is. If it's running or whatever the exercise you're doing,
pick some
understand what your goal is, so you know what to measure, and be clear about what your goal is, so that did I pick the right program? Am I working toward my goals? Yeah,
that's a great point. If your goal is to build muscle and look more jacked, but you join a spin class, you're doing something, but your definition of if the thing works is going to fall flat because you didn't join a program that leads to the goal that you have. So it ain't going to work.
I think when people start our programs and they come in and they're oh my gosh, I'm seeing results, it's because of a few things. It's because it's an organized training program. So it's organized in a way to get people results, and the app that we use, and we as coaches encourage them to log their results, both how long it took, how many reps you got, what weight you use, be very clear on your results. And that's the best way to know if your workout program is working, because you will literally see it week to week. You'll see these weights go up, you'll see the reps going up. And if you just check the box, don't log, you don't know what you did last time, you'll just get in there and go through the motions, and you will waste a few months, and then you'll be is this even working? Yeah.
And then like you were saying, decide what your goal is. If you have performance-based goals, then you should pick performance-based metrics to track. You're trying to become a faster runner, you need to measure your quarter mile time and check that every month to see if it's going down. If you have strength goals, you should be testing either your rep max at a certain weight, or a 2 or 3 rep max to see if your strength is continuing to go up.
Not all the time, but
no.
various
benchmarks that you periodically
year,
test. Or if you have a physique goal, you should be taking progress pictures of yourself, taking a waist measurement, and then comparing those things.
That's what I was going to say. It's the beginning of the year. A lot of people are starting either, to work out for the first time or new programs or whatever. Take pictures today. So, if this,
I don't want to take pictures.
You don't want to take pictures, but in like 3 months when you're like, man, I think I'm looking a little shredded here, you're going to want that comparison picture. So take some pictures. You can put them in the hidden folder in your phone. No one else has to see them. But it's one of the best ways to actually know, besides looking at like how many reps you did, how many reps, how much weight you lifted, all of those things.
I think it's important that they're thinking about this too, because motivation can be really high at the beginning of the year here, and it can kind of fall off. But if you know what your goal is and you have the metrics to track to see if you're moving in that direction, that will serve as motivation when the natural motivation of the honeymoon period starts to wear off. So keep going and think about what we just said there.
Yep. Write it down. All right. This is number 3 is like 2 similar questions. So we're going to I'm going to read them both and then we'll answer them both together. All right. The first question was, I've been stuck at the same weight since Thanksgiving, even though I'm working out and eating better than I ever have. What could be going wrong? And then the second question was, I feel like I'm eating healthy, but I'm not losing weight. How do I know if I'm eating the right amount?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Both of these kind of come to the same thing of a weight loss plateau, basically, is what we're talking about. Like the first person, well, first of all, kudos to the person who has gone through Thanksgiving to New Year's in a plateau without gaining weight. This is a very easy time of year to gain weight for a lot of people. So the fact that you maintained is huge progress in and of itself. And then the second person feels like they're doing a lot of things right, but they're just not losing weight. They want to know about quantity. They're basically in a plateau also. I think about a plateau as a period of about a month or 2 when you're not seeing any measure of progress anywhere. I think both of these people are saying that they're not seeing any weight loss progress, and that's their definition of a plateau. But if they're not tracking any other metrics other than their weight, then they could be experiencing body composition change that's offsetting what they're seeing on the scale, but they really are making progress. So that's one of the reasons that we track more than just body weight with our nutrition coaching clients, is because if we think we're in a plateau, it gives us some other things to check to make sure that we are.
So these are things like photos, waist measurements, how clothes fit. These are great ways to measure besides looking down at the scale.
Yep. And regardless of whatever plateau you truly are in, there's really only one answer, is to accept the fact that everything that you've done up until this point to get the results that you have, they've gotten you as far as you are. And now we're going to have to change something to get through that plateau. For a lot of people, it's not about reducing calories or adding more workouts. Just the natural evolution of making changes to your fitness and your habits is that we slowly regress back into our old habits, and those are usually the things that cause the plateau. So we just got to get honest and look, are there things that I was doing when I was getting results that I've stopped doing? Or have more of the things from my old lifestyle crept back in? Because then we can just go back to doing the things that were getting us results to break through the plateau. It can be tough because it's not easy to overcome, a lifetime of the habits that got us in the shape that we were, but that is truly one of the best things you can do, is just have that honest talk with yourself.
Yeah.
And then, dialing it in beyond just like going back to doing the things that you were, we might have to get more specific. Maybe you really are still doing all the good things you're doing when you're getting results, but now we got to like dial things in more, go from eating good, eating better than you ever have in your life, to actually knowing how much we're eating. And I'm talking about a measure of calories there, because if we're talking about weight loss, it's always going to come down to how many calories we're eating. So, the second person is talking about I'm eating healthy, but not losing weight. That ties into, okay, well, you could be eating the healthiest version of a cookie that there is, or you could be eating a lot of healthy fats from nuts and seeds. But unfortunately, those healthy foods could be just having you eat too many calories, which is keeping you from losing weight. So we have to get down to knowing the quantity of food in calories, and we might have to decrease that to get the needle moving again.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do is, because there are 2 sides of this energy balance equation, it's not always just eating less. We can look at your activity level. How many steps are you getting per day? Or if you're only getting 5,000 steps per day, let's bump it up to 7,000. Keep eating the same amount of food that you are, and let's see what's happened. Are you lifting weights? Okay. If you're not, let's start doing that and see what happens. There's more that you can do with body composition and weight loss other than just focusing on how much you're eating. All right, I think that's enough on that one. If we didn't answer your question, send us a message.
Well, both of these questions related to like making goals and goal setting, things like that. So it made me think about when I owned the gym, and we would, probably this time of year, we would have everybody like choose a goal, and we would make sure that they were it's called SMART goals. So you use SMART. So whenever you're like thinking about a goal on a new workout program or a weight loss program, make sure that your goal is sustainable, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So, all this leads back to making sure that you're like understanding what your goal is, measuring your metrics for both of these things, and like, doing more than just saying like, I'm eating healthy. Like, are we, eating the right quantities? Are we eating the right amounts? Like things like that.
I think the S is supposed to stand for specific.
Oh yes, specific.
And what that does is get rid of fluffy goals.
Yes, and that's what made me kind of think about it. Yeah.
It's like everybody wants to lose weight and feel better, but those are really fluffy goals. There's no action plan behind it. It's not specific enough to know what you need to do. It's like, I want to lose weight. Okay, what are you going to eat tomorrow? Like, we need to answer that question first.
Yeah, or even like what we were talking about before, like, I want to get stronger. Okay, let's be clear about a very specific goal of like, what do you want to get stronger in? Blah, 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 blah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right.
Moving on.
Next question. I'm lifting weights consistently, but I'm not seeing much muscle definition. What can I do to fix this?
digitalbarbell.com/contact us.
Yeah, we're both wearing the shirts.
But I think you want me to answer this one first?
Yeah,
but like look at your program. Like, are you following a program that's focused on building muscle? Because that's going to be a huge part of building muscle definition and eventually seeing it.
Yeah.
What are your expectations for how quickly you should be seeing this muscle definition too?
That's another thing.
Did you just start 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago? Maybe your expectations are a little bit off. When we work with our custom training clients, we work with them for years sometimes, and that gives us plenty of time to see huge changes. But our programs that we release every once in a while are 8 weeks or 12 weeks. Yeah. And you do start seeing physical changes between 8 and 12 weeks. And that's part of the reason those programs are that long. But if you've only been doing this for 3-6 weeks, like you're just not waiting long enough.
Yeah.
That's even if you are following the right program. What should a program that helps you see muscle definition include? It needs to include progressive overload that makes your muscles bigger and stronger. A lot of people want to see muscle definition, but then they join group classes or apps that are more focused on building muscular endurance by, grabbing 8, 10, 12 pound dumbbells and doing a whole bunch of reps. And that feels like a burn, and you're getting sweaty and you're getting really sore, but unfortunately you're not giving your muscles the stimulus they need to grow.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that when you want to see muscle definition, you really have to make your muscles grow. Otherwise, you're just going to see the definition of your bones, even if you get really lean.
Yeah, you take that intensity that you're using in those high intensity classes and you push that into the weightlifting
into the
side.
Progressive overload.
Yeah.
And then we have to talk a little bit about diet. If you're not giving your body the amino acids that it needs to build muscle, you could even be trying to do strength training, but not seeing the progress because you're not putting in the fuel to make the muscle grow. So if you want to know how much protein we recommend for your goals, I'll put a link to our calculator in the show notes. And then you also, a thing about bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is a competition of how much muscle definition can you see on a person. You have to be huge and jacked, also usually at the expense of taking a whole bunch of steroids. But at the end of the day, it's a dieting competition to get down to the lowest body fat percentage. So all you see is the muscle definition, basically. Like, there's no fat obscuring any of the definition. You see the striations of the muscles because they have no fat.
But that's not what this,
Right. Yeah. But I'm going to use that as an example to say, if you're not focusing on losing fat and you have fat covering your muscles, you're not going to see the definition of it. So we have to lose fat to see muscle definition also. Now, if you have a bigger muscle, the definition of it will be visible at higher body fat percentages than if you have a really small muscle that's covered by the same amount of body fat. This is one of the benefits we've talked about this before, but it's one of the benefits of training your abs is that you can make them slightly bigger, which is going to make them more visible, if that's one of your goals, at a higher body fat percentage. For most men, they've got to get down in the 12 to 15% body fat range to start seeing a lot of muscle definition, especially in their midsection, and somewhere between 20 and 25% for women. You don't have to go pay for a DEXA scan to figure this out. You can look online for sample pictures of what different websites think about what you look like at different body fat percentages. And you can kind of like just guess from there, or just lift your shirt or put your bathing suit on and see if you're seeing muscle definition or not.
Yeah. And this also makes me think about like what we were talking about in the previous question, about having like SMART goals. Like it says, I'm lifting weights consistently, but then the reason you made the joke about digitalbarbell.com is because are you lifting weights consistently in a organized program that's like thought out throughout the year that uses progressive overload?
That's a good point.
That you're keeping track of the weights, that you're adding sets and reps.
Because we've had that client that's come to us and like, I've been working out lifting weights for years. I've been doing my 3 sets of 10 of my shoulders and my legs, and ain't nothing happening.
Yeah, because
it's the same routine over and over again.
Exactly. All right. Number 5, I feel like my metabolism has slowed down now that I'm over 40. Are there real ways to speed it up? I like that. Real ways.
I guess they've seen the supplements like the metabolism boosters and all that kind of stuff. Quick recap on what the heck your metabolism is in the first place. It's a lot of things, but in the context of this conversation, it's basically the number of calories that it takes to keep you at your size right now, your weight, your size, all that kind of stuff. So what this person is saying, like, I feel like I have to eat less to lose weight now, or like, I feel like if I keep eating how much I have been eating, I'm gaining weight. I'm requiring less calories, so therefore I'm gaining weight. So your metabolism can be broken down into 4 main components. Your basal metabolic rate, which is the biggest, burns about 60% of all the calories you need for the day. What's called your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is the calories burned by me wiggling my fingers standing here, by shrugging my shoulders, by rocking back and forth, tapping my foot at my desk. This is subconscious stuff. Then there's exercise. I think you might have heard of that before, exercise. And then there's the thermic effect of food. This is the calories that you burn extracting the nutrients from your food. So those are the variables of our potentially slowing down metabolism that we get to manipulate to try to prevent our metabolism from slowing down or even speed it up. People probably think that their BMR is the doomsday. Like I'm going through perimenopause. I'm a guy who's 45 years old. My metabolism is just tanking, and it's because my BMR is just slowing down. Research shows that your BMR only slows down between 1% and 2% per decade. That's nothing. If you're somebody who maintains their weight on 2,000 calories, that's 40 calories less per day that you could potentially be slowing down over the course of a decade. So we don't have to worry about that. But there are things that you can do to increase your BMR, to keep it from slowing down at all or even increase it, okay? And the main thing you can do for that is to strength train, to build muscle. Muscle tissue requires more calories to be maintained. When you do a workout and you damage your muscle tissue, you expend calories to repair that damage, and you get to grow muscle. See that definition that last person wanted to see? So that's what we got to focus on. We need to stop focusing on trying to burn calories in our workouts. We need to focus on building muscle if we want to preserve our metabolism. The other thing is don't listen to people who give the advice to like take it easy as you get older. Stay active.
Exactly.
Do stuff in your regular life. Go for long walks. Like all that stuff burns calories and contributes to a healthy metabolism. In addition to like the mental health benefits, the digestive benefits, all that kind of stuff. And then we're always talking about eating protein on this podcast, and it's for that reason of the thermic effect of food. In addition to all the amino acid benefits of being able to build muscle by eating protein. Protein burns the most calories to extract the nutrients out of it versus carbs and fat. Fat just like doesn't require any energy to be digested. So you actually burn more calories eating a high protein diet. So all we got to do is build muscle, stay active, keep moving on purpose, eat protein, and underlying all that is probably managing stress in healthy ways in your life.
And tuning out the noise of the things that tell you, whether it's people or social media or just like your mind thinking like, oh, I'm this age now, I should slow down. This is going to happen to me. Fight against it. We have so many clients that start training in their 40s, 50s, 60s and beyond and build muscle and like look more shredded than they did when they were in their 30s. So it's definitely possible. And like, it's just like going forward.
I would say, like, just personally, I've probably increased my maintenance calories at this body weight probably at least by 500 calories per day over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite of what you would think would happen as I've gone from 36 to 46. Ooh. So
you're so old. I'm just kidding.
They're watching on YouTube. They can see that gray hair on the side of my head. Ain't no hiding it. Okay, so there you go.
All right.
Fix your metabolism.
Last one. In 2025, I want to focus on making my shoulders pop more. What are the best exercises to focus on? Man,
me too.
We just finished a workout, and I do feel like my shoulders are popping. That was a good workout.
You shouldn't have worn that sweatshirt and hiding those popping shoulders.
All right. So just exercises in general, like if you just want a list of exercises to focus on, we've got dumbbell presses. We've got dumbbell lateral raises. We've got Arnold presses, which is where you're bringing it from the front. We got bench press. We got upright rows. These are all great shoulder popping exercises.
And I think it's going to be person to person too. Like if you try all those exercises on that list, you're going to feel a better stimulus out of some than others. It's kind of person to person dependent. Like I know a lot of people like hate on upright rows. Like they don't feel them in their shoulders. And some people even think it's a chest exercise for some reason, but those make my shoulders burn. And when I finish 3 sets of upright rows, I can noticeably see a good pump in my shoulders. So you find the exercise you really feel.
In doing a lot of these things, it's like, how's your form? How's your range of motion? Things like that. Making sure that you're like going through the full ranges of motion on your press. On upright row, you're not like popping at the hips to get that up, because you aren't going to feel it if you're doing things like that.
Yeah.
But saying we're doing all of these things, doing them consistently with what we've been talking about this whole podcast, it seems like, with progressive overload and doing the right amount of weight and doing the right amount of weight for the right intensity that you're looking for, the right amount of reps.
That's a good point.
Throughout the week.
So in this list are the heavy compound exercises like overhead presses and bench press. And there's more accessory stuff like lateral raises and Arnold presses.
Yeah. So in a given week, we will do all of these in a week. We won't do all of these in a day, but we'll do all of these in a week. So we'll hit about 10, maybe 15 to 20 sets of all of these exercises combined, targeting the shoulder throughout a week.
Yeah, not 15 to 20 of each
exercise, but the combined list. So that could look like 3 to 5 sets on your presses, 3 to 5 sets on your lateral raises on one day. Another day you're doing 3 to 5 sets of bench presses, followed by 3 to 5 sets of Arnold presses. And on another day you're doing some upright rows and cable rows.
Yep. And that we do that on purpose in our program too, because you're going to stimulate more muscle growth by spreading your training volume out over multiple days per week, because you're giving that anabolic signal to your muscles multiple times per week. If you were to do all of your shoulder work on your shoulder day, you're not going to grow as fast or get as strong as if you spread it out over the week and had some recovery in between those days. So increase your frequency on those exercises, make sure you're getting stronger, find exercises that you really feel, and eat enough protein too.
Yeah.
If you're starving your body of protein, don't expect any poppage.
And if you heard all that and you're like, check, I'm doing all that, add some more volume, add some more sets.
Yeah, if you're advanced, like you might have to go beyond the 20 sets per week. But our friend Bill said when you're new, even tying your shoes makes you stronger. But as you get older, as your training age goes up, you got to start increasing the volume and complexity of your program.
Yeah. All
right. If you guys want to get a queue into the queue, send us a message on Instagram and we'll add it to our list.
Those are some great questions this week.
I like those. Yeah. And if you are interested in working with Blakely or myself, what you're doing isn't working and you like the sound of everything we said in this episode, I'll put a link for how you can apply for coaching in the episode too. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Take care.